The revolution is in understanding self. What is the core identity? Because if you don't know who you are, then you will be told who you are. And you can waste your life working for a false identity. I like to tell people of this gentleman in Pretoria. He stands by the traffic lights. He wears like a police uniform. So when the cars come there, he's stopping them, he's telling them to go. But everyone knows that he's not a policeman, nor is he actually in charge of when the cars go. There's actually a traffic light. But you can see that he's very serious. He's got a whistle there. He's telling everyone to stop, go, go. People in the cars, they laugh. Hey, this guy is really mad. So he thinks he's something that he's not. What does he think he is? He thinks he's a traffic officer. Huh? Or even worse, he thinks it's the traffic lights. But he thinks he's in control of the traffic, he is directing it. And everyone can tell that our stopping and going has nothing to do with your waving your hand and blowing your whistle. You are mad. So all of us, we are mad to one degree or the other. Our madness is that we think we are that which we are not. We think we are this body. Yet we've all heard dust to dust, ashes to ashes. So am I that dust? Am I that ash? And what is the body actually? It is a bag. If you cut this bag here, underneath it, what do you find? Veins, blood. Things that come out of it tend to smell. Now, even the most handsome or beautiful, as soon as they let something out. So, bag of bones, blood, pus, mucus. This is not the actual personality. This is the vehicle. It's a machine. Krishna has a nice verse in the Gita. He calls it a yantra. Yantra means machine. Yantra rudani mayaya. That the living being is seated on a machine made of the material energy. So the soul, you and I, who thinks they are this body, then they think, I am black, I am white, I am Kenyan, I am male, I am female. And they are willing to die for these identities. They start whole wars. We've been watching Israel and Palestine. And if you look at the land that is causing the problems, it's some dusty thing that Gaza Strip is really, it's not really something. Here there's land enough we can grow something serious. But because this is the land of our ancestors, this is... So the Bhagavatam, there's one nice scripture you should get hold of. There, Mother Earth, the earth is considered our mother. Yes, from her we're getting so much. She is speaking and she is laughing that just see all these kings. They come here naked without anything. And then in the interim, they think they are conquering the land, and this is my land, this is your land, and they fight each other and butcher each other. And in due course of time, they all vanish into thin air. Death catches them. So you can have kings that are conquering for lands, then you have kings here and queens with little K's and Q's. This is us. Trying to conquer some college, get some degree to go beg for a job. And then you get your own car to be stuck in this traffic here. And then you get some man with a mustache or some girl with some chubby chick, so my wife, my husband. You get some kids, or my kids, just see my kids. Lot of school fees and medical bills. And each one is walking proud, like I have conquered life. But any person who does not understand their actual identity as the soul is identified to be no better than an animal. It's just a two-legged animal, human being. So raise your hands. Anyone who is interested in eating. Eating. Eat. Honest man. I'm looking, those who don't raise their hands, later on we're going to. Yeah, eating, I'm also interested. Okay, eating. Anyone who's interested in sleeping, who thinks sleeping is okay? Don't be shy, it's not a trick question. Anyone interested in sex? He didn't raise for eating, but sex is like. Now he's shy, everyone's gonna see that I want sex. And anyone here who thinks it's okay to defend yourself? Your property, yeah. If people can't just walk all over us, we have to defend ourselves. So, do you think animals are interested in sex? Interested? Yes. Yeah. The cockroaches are also looking around like, you. They also defend themselves, the animals. Dogs are barking, woof, woof. Get out, get out. They're also sleeping, but they don't mind where they sleep. You have to buy, if you buy single bed, then you may sleep alone. No one wants to give you sex on your single bed. The chickens, they just get sex right in front of you, no problem. We have to spend money, book a hotel, try to look fancy, smell fancy, just to get sex. You work hard so that someone's willing to give you sex. If you don't have this guy, maybe nobody wants to give you sex. So, animals and human beings, same interests. If it stays at sex and food and sleeping and defending, we are no better than animals. In fact, people these days, they own it very proudly. Nah, man, we're animals, brah. But there is a difference. And the difference is that the human being has been given superior intelligence. And that intelligence should, before creating a life and a future that benefits more and more people. And ultimately, to inquire about who made this whole place. Why I have to get old? Why I have to die? Why I have to work so hard just to get sex when a chicken just... no degree. The monkeys, they get more sex in 1 hour than you'll get in 1 year. They don't have a job in a car, no? So, inquisitiveness is a sign of proper intelligence, and a human being must inquire into his existence or her existence, into who created this world, how does it work, and what will happen to me when I die. To come to Kenya, I had to look on the internet. Air Kenya was like, they wanted 12,500 rands from me. And I was just like, no, I cannot pay this money. This is direct flight. So I had to go deeper in the search. And there was Air Malawi, friend of the poor. Air Malawi says they stop in Lilongwe and then they come to Nairobi. But when you get on the flight, they stop in Blantyre first. But because you don't get off the airline, they don't write it as a stop. So it's actually 2 stops. Stop in Blantyre, you sit in there. You can't complain too much because the price was a little reduced. But by this I'm saying I had to look for a flight to get to Nairobi. And I had to know where I'll stay in Nairobi, who will pick me up from the airport. So we have to be destination conscious. This ride will end. So when I get off this body, where am I going? What will happen there? What is life there? But this type of education, they do not give you in these universities and colleges. Because you cannot be exploited as a consumer, as a resource when you are wise. But when you are a human animal, then you are just like food to be devoured by all sorts of advertising. You think you need so many things. This is the trap that we find ourselves in. So this Bhakti philosophy, this Vedas, it's human knowledge. It comes with the universe. You know, you buy a TV, these days they call them smart TVs. They sometimes are smarter than the people who are watching them. It comes with a manual to tell you how to set it up, how to... So also this universe, with all the planets in it, there's a manual. What is this universe? What planetary systems are in it? What species are in it? What is agriculture? What is science? What is astrology, astronomy? This is called the Vedas. And in that Vedic knowledge, there's also the spiritual sciences. So this house is offering those sciences of consciousness. But it is not advertised to us. In fact, we are given like these religions of fanaticism. Who here would say that their mother is the best mom in the world? Yeah? Most people feel like that. Some have other thoughts, but it's normal to feel that your mother is the best mother. I think my mom is also the best mom in the world. But now, if you come and tell me your mother is the best mother in the world, and you say that I must accept that your mother is the best mother in the world, and he also thinks his mother is the best in the world, so who's right and who's wrong? Simple thinking is there. It's like there must be one who's right, there must be one who's wrong. This is primary school. If you go higher to high school, you understand that he is right because your experience of your mother is why you are saying she's the best. My experience of my mother is why I say he's the best. So also, if University of Kenya, what other universities do we know here? Can you just list some? University? One. There's a few. I've seen many universities around Kenya, yeah? Each one, when they advertise, they don't say the number 4 university, or even if it's toothpaste, they say the number 1 this, the number 1 that. No one sells their product and says the number 10 toothpaste of Kenya, the number 4 soap. Everyone's the number 1. So even religion is sold in the same way. The only prophet, the only savior. And then because we are thinking in a primary school way, you must choose one, and then you are right and the others are wrong. But did anyone ask God if he was a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Jew? You think God is a Christian? You think he's a Hindu? He's a Muslim? No, God, from his perspective, he says, Aham bija pradapita. I am the seed-giving father of all living beings. These are all my children. Not just the human beings, but all living entities. But then the living beings who think we are Kenyan, we are Somalian, we are South African, then they want to, Mudimo, the Xhosa's Tiko, the Shangan Shikwembu, the Swazis Velingandi. Here you say Mungu. The Chichewas in Malawi say Muzungu. That's the name they use for God. You see how funny it is here in Kenya. But now, if you worship Muzungu, you pray to Muzungu. But until you talk to him, who is this Muzungu? He starts to, he is the source of all energies. He is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. No, we call him Mungu. So, high school and university, they teach the same subjects that you teach in primary, but to a deeper and deeper perspective. So this Bhakti Yoga is now teaching the sciences of spiritual life, the science of religion. And it is uplifting us from thinking we're just this body that will be eaten by worms in the ground or eaten by the fire at the crematorium. That no, we are the life force within. And when we are at that type of education, then we can avoid so many of the traps of this capitalistic world that we live in, that sells us so many dreams of happiness. Yet when you study, all those that have gone before you, they've done the same things. In fact, by the time you're 22, you've done all the things that are supposed to make life amazing. Now you just have to repeat them. So we're inviting young people, because in Zulu bathi lugochwa lusese manzi. That's probably in a local language means if you want to bend a bamboo or a tree, you have to do it while it's still young and wet. Is there a saying like that here? So your minds are just almost dry, that when you bend they're going to break, but they're still. If you get this wisdom, you can shape your life in such a way that you are not just fully Kenyan. Everyone wants you to be. No, you're a spiritual being. So you should function at that level, have that type of wisdom. So we are finding that young people, intelligent people like yourselves, are benefiting from this wisdom, and we travel around sharing it. So hopefully some of these words bring up some thoughts in you, and we can open it up for some comments, some questions, some dialogue. Thank you for your attention. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we will. You can pass the mic. So you can just tell us your name and maybe what you study, then maybe your comment or question. You can say it is fine.
I'm Daniel Mbua. When you die and you have some unfinished business, or you have been doing one thing,
Put it a little closer, yeah? Just a little closer so we can hear you. To your mouth. Mic closer to the mouth.
Yeah. Okay. So, I listened to this song that you that when you die and you have some unfinished business, it's like maybe you're doing wrong things. You get reincarnated, and you can become either an animal, human. So the question was, you have been reincarnated as an animal. Are you human? Because according to you, you say an animal is not a human. Yet you believe that you can be reincarnated as an animal. So are you human? Because you have just switched the vessels from the human body to the animal body. So are you human? That's my question.
Are you still human? What's that? You switch bodies, and what's the last?
First of all, we have said that
once you reincarnate,
Sorry.
that's according to your explanation.
That I heard all of that. Yeah.
Yes. So now that you've reincarnated, you have an animal body. Aren't you human because you are human before?
Okay. Yes, that's what I thought. Yes, what is human is the body. It's like you were riding a BMW. Let's say that's the human form of life, BMW. And now you've lost money. You no longer have a BMW, now you have this boda or tuk-tuk. So the soul remains the same individual. The difference is that what you are embodied in gives you more or less facility. So the human means human body. It comes with the software and the hardware of a human being. A dog is also a spirit soul, but he's walking on 4 legs and he's barking and doing all of those things. So it's the same person. Like say you are coming out of this one BMW and you're getting into the tuk-tuk. It's still you, but now you are in a different car. And the tuk-tuk can go this fast, the BMW can go that fast.
Yeah, I get you. But according to what you told us earlier, it was as if you were insinuating that the animal is lesser than me. Yes, we have the same spiritual body. I was the one who was reincarnated in that animal. So that's the same spiritual body. But according to the way you explaining it, it's like that animal is lesser than me.
Yes, the tuk-tuk is lesser than a BMW.
Okay. Let me rephrase.
The value of the soul is always 1,000% the same, loved by God, spiritual, eternal. But once the soul is trapped in a cockroach's body, everyone immediately wants to stomp on you. It's still the same soul, but nobody values your life so much unless they have wisdom. They can understand there's a soul in there. But a human being, if someone kills you, not even kills you, stabs you, can go to the police, there's a case, someone can get locked up. So there's a hierarchy, some ranking of forms. And the human form is that junction where one can get out of the whole cycle of repeated birth and death. So it's very important. But you can obviously understand that a tree is alive and you are alive, and that you are valued more in the human form than as a tree.
So you're saying that we are the same with the dog?
No.
According to Bible.
I'm saying life is the same value in terms of its intrinsic spiritual nature. But how the forms affect the soul, it differs.
Okay. You have the question.
Yeah.
I'll ask the question once again.
Okay. Yeah.
So, my name is Bashira. This is my first time being here. And I've been going through this spiritual journey, trying to understand what this means closer.
Yeah, keep it there.
Trying to understand what marriage means for me, where the space of I am in this world. So the question is because whether you like it or not, we're in this world and we are brought up in the religious sections. Muslim, Islam, and we must somehow be able to understand or make our body understand this concept because we're still using our brains. So for me, I use the Christianity, but we like you say, we never ask God what to do when are you. So how should I continue on in my Christianity? Is it still a journey that I can pursue to find this better higher self? Or there is another kind of path that should follow?
Understood the question, huh? Good question. We're raised as Christian, we're trained like that, and he's a spiritual seeker, he wants to grow. And is there, what happens next? Can I continue as a Christian, or is there anything else to grow deeper? So, the schooling system has a mission to create educated people. So, primary school teaches mathematics. In primary school, they say you cannot subtract 20 from 7. It's correct, huh? In high school, you can subtract 20 from 7. It's correct? Then there's negative numbers. He forgot his maths. So, for the primary school child, it's correct. No, you cannot subtract a big number from a small number. But that same student in high school, no, you can subtract it. And then, you get to university calculus, you start to have, even 1 plus 1 may not really be 2. So, the subject for the human being is to know who I am, to know what this world is and who is the controller of matter and spirit. So if it's a subject of knowing God, and actually you want to know God or your spiritual nature, then isn't it that you will seek out the books, the knowledge about that subject? Like at university, do you care who wrote the mathematics book? So many people compile books on maths. We just want to know if it will address the subject and give more clarity. So we are saying on the subject of God, on the subject of the universe, the soul, Bhagavad Gita, you probably have never read it or seen it, or Srimad Bhagavatam, or we were talking about the Vedic literature, which are knowledge systems for human beings. That if you want to know, zoom in on who is God. They say we should know the face of God. They say we should go home, back to the kingdom of God. So what goes on in that kingdom? Sometimes we don't want to do these things because we're not attracted. What would I do there forever? I remember I was in a choir and we used to sing songs in church, and they were telling us these songs, we're going to sing them forever. And I was thinking, I don't want to go to this heaven. Some of these songs are boring, And the choir master says, again. But I started chanting Hare Krishna. I'm chanting the same mantra 22 years now. And it's still, as they say, giving. It's got juice. It's alive. It's giving greater clarity. Even now, you can bring 10 of your favorite music, the latest songs, and I'll play one song. You will be tired of your songs. That's why every year they have to release another one, because you get bored. But this is spiritual. So what I'm saying is that on the subject of God, on controlling your mind, your senses, so many things. You can read these books. They are also for you. It's just we've been taught to think we should only read this one book, which also has missing books that were taken out by Constantine the Great. He thought, no, these ones will enlighten these rascals too much. Don't put it. Put these ones that make them just afraid of hell. So then they just stay there and they're not even following the thing. You're stuck in sin your whole life, but everyone accepts you because you are a Christian and it's normal. Or your Muslim friends accept you because it's normal. Here, it's you become the best version of you. The soul is full of bliss, eternality, and knowledge. That's our birthright. So, what we can take it is this: you become a better Muslim, you become a better Christian, you become a better Jew, a better Maasai, Kikuyu, Zulu, whatever you think you are. This knowledge will make you the best version of that. So you can go to church and still read Bhagavad Gita and chant Hare Krishna, and now you'll have another flavor, which will tell you if you still want to go there again more and more.
Okay, so one question. This is a regular person for you, or somebody in your place. Probably us that are trying, it's very difficult to just be focused on one thing. Like if you say you go to this and so many structures, you have your phone, you have everything outside, you have money to look for, you have people to praise. Whether you like it or not, I think sometimes just do always doing things. It's almost
Yes.
about money. So what helps you to, when everything, like you ask, we want sex, we want money, we want food, we want sleep, we want all these things, but there must be that thing that does not take you to the material one, and still, but you still have to be in this physical one as well.
Yes.
So what is that you can give us advice so that it can help us, at least if you are straying, you can realize and come back to this line that you want to follow.
Yes.
So what do you do for yours?
So the first thing is knowledge. And this is what's being supplied here, bucketfuls of it. There's so many books here. When you get knowledge, then you strengthen your intelligence. Because the senses naturally will act. You will see, you will hear, you will smell, the whole world. That information is coming in. And the mind is always choosing based on what feels nicest for the body, what's pleasurable. So that's the programming, that we're trying to avoid suffering and enjoy the senses. But then, beer tastes good or makes us feel good. But when you have better intelligence, you understand every weekend I'm drinking this same thing, and then I become like loose. Sometimes I fight. Sometimes I drink too much and I pass out. I wake up next to people, I don't know who is this person. So when your intelligence is strong, it can control the mind. So knowledge, especially spiritual knowledge, strengthens the intelligence. That now you will evaluate things on, are these things beneficial for me, the soul? Because the soul is highest. Under the soul is the intelligence. It's meant to control the mind. The mind is meant to control the senses. Currently, it's opposite. The senses are running the show. The mind is just a yes man. And the intelligence, you just have to spin doctor that it will be good. Oh, okay, I agree. And then the soul is just being dragged along. So knowledge. And the second part is that birds of a feather flock together. And that our strength is also in numbers, in community. So this is the approach that we have here. That people who are now making that attempt, that I want to rise above being controlled by the mind and senses and the propaganda of this world. You team up, then this normal life, you have friends, you go to school together, you sometimes see soccer. So it's not like you become strange person, still you, but now you are purifying your mind and senses with meditation and knowledge. So for me, it was, I went straight to live in the monastery. So that's what, I joined the temple, I quit my university. I don't regret, the best decision of my life. Don't quit. Unless you want to join the monastery for the rest of your life. But most people cannot do that life. Most people have to have their homes and wife and kids and this. So you get this knowledge. You become accustomed to seeing the world through this higher knowledge. And then you will avoid so many problems, unnecessary problems. So gradually. Yeah. Or if you want to do it one shot, we've got one monastery just next door. You can stay here with enough room, we'll feed you. You can travel with us the world. I have no job for 22 years.
How do you survive with that?
If you work for the richest person, the most connected person, that is God, he has everything covered. Yeah, it's like magic, actually. Thank you for your question, yeah. I don't know about our time, but I think this is still very nice. Continue. Omka will tell us when we should stop. Okay.
And I got a partner question to
Angare.
Andai.
Andare.
From the annals of Europe, we have the likes of Walter Sisulu, Madiba, Nelson Mandela, and these other individuals.
Chris Hani.
Madiba Tambo.
Sobukwe.
Time happened in Pretoria when they were in a certain bunker trying to arrest the problem that was beating South Africans from the apartheid regime. And then Madiba reminded Oliver Tambo that Frantz Fanon in his document towards the African Revolution noted that history is something that many in leadership fail to record and remember, maybe want to make an accomplice of themselves. So Madiba said that politics minus science is deaf and dumb, while science minus politics could be blind. But as well, Oliver Tambo reminded Madiba that truly religion without science is dead. And science minus religion is with no life. Now, bearing in mind that the Western world feeds Africans with knowledge of the second liberation, second colonization of Africans before the constituent countries liberating themselves from the Western world, we have the first colonization that happened when the black man spearheaded most revolutions of the world, agricultural revolutions, leadership affairs. Like you will remember that sometime in Japan, the blacks were ruling Japan. Now, my question is, what is this cement that binds religion and science?
What binds them? It said also religion without philosophy is a sentiment. We believe in things. I believe in this, I believe in that. And then science without religion is speculation. I think it's like this, I think it's like that. But together is that religion talks about the nature of a thing that cannot be changed. Like if I give you a white powder and I say this is sugar, how do you know if it's sugar? If you taste it, it should taste sweet. So that would be the religion of sugar, is that it is sweet. The religion of water is that it is liquid. Of course, you can manipulate it and freeze it or steam it, but when you let it be, it goes back to being a liquid. So, what is the nature of every living being that cannot be changed? It's the spirit of service, that we want to do things for others, and we find meaning and satisfaction when we serve the mother, the children, the politician, the nation, the police, the community. Even when you are yourself, you have to serve your body by feeding it, clothing it. So the nature of every living being is to serve God. And this service is based on a love, natural relationship. So the sciences or the knowledges that help one to live as his true nature of service to God is the depth, the most deepest sciences. Then material sciences are trying to understand material nature, how it works. But spiritual sciences is why, who set it in motion. So when science is combined with an understanding of a supreme spiritual being, then you come to the ultimate science of spiritual science. But science without God consciousness is what we have today, a bit of a godlessness, consumer culture, just might is right. Whatever you see, it's for you to control and dominate. That's why next we'll be selling to each other oxygen. Did you notice that the air is not so nice in the city? So they'll let you know how all the fumes that you're breathing in are creating a particular deformity in you. And then they'll tell you that some air from the Himalayas or the Rocky Mountains, and it will be 800 shillings. You can get 10 breads. So other countries already got to that. There was a time it was ridiculous to buy water. That idea was just like, who could sell you water? Now it's standard. So science now has very amazing uses, but when it's devoid of honoring the supreme scientist, then it makes mankind think that they are God because they can manipulate matter. But when science reveals the supreme technician, the supreme artist, the supreme engineer, the supreme philosopher, whatever it is that we're studying, we have to see it all the way to the source. I hope it touches the spirit of your question. Okay. I also want to commend you, your history of these political persons and their discussion. That was amazing, right? Yeah. You have something. Can you find Omkar? Oh, you're here. Oh, okay. All right.
Globally or around the world, people are so much obsessed with the race and tribalism. What is it that makes humans so much obsessed with race and tribalism and religion that they may end up even creating policies just to bar one race from achieving another, or even in US you have something like black jobs and white jobs, or Hispanic jobs and like that. What is it about humans that is so much about the race?
It's ignorance. Ignorance of their identity. So, because we are lost to our spiritual identity, then we hold on tightly to the next available identity, which is this body. And then we have to make holy this earth, water, and fire. Therefore, being Kikuyu is sacred. Being black is sacred. Okay, being Kenyan, being African, or being of earth planet, or the gender that we're in. Now, even sexuality is now the topmost identity. I'm gay, I'm bi, I'm this, I'm that. We are lost to our actual spiritual identity, and therefore we are putting too much stress on the false, temporary dresses that we wear. So, in this world, that is used to divide and conquer people. So people will use whatever it is to create a money-making scheme. So it is called in the Bhagavad Gita the bodily concept of life. When the spiritual sparks think that they are the physical embodiment, their conception of who they are is based on the body. And so each group of bodies wants to feel particularly unique. Now there's wars between men and women online. The men are trashing the women. These women are like this and like that. The men are trash. The women are trash. At the same time, they still want children. They still want the perfect husband or the best wife. But there's a lot of money to make in this identity politics. There's a lot of money to be made when you have to sell guns to this tribe and that tribe. Look at Rwanda. So much bloodshed. And now they had to raise the consciousness that here we don't deal as tribes, we deal as a nation, Rwandese. So it's sort of cancelling one ignorance with the ignorance that sort of unites. But still, that is one piece of God's earth called Rwanda, another piece is called Kenya. But if you go higher, these are human beings. There is no Rwandan hunger and Kenyan hunger. There is no male old age and female old. Everyone's getting old and sick. We are under the same conditions. So knowledge, when it's lacking, then ignorance destroys. So ignorance of our spiritual identity is the cause of all this overly emphasizing the superficial differences on the bodily platform. So that's why here we are always insisting, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, but I'm the spirit soul, a part and parcel of God. So even this term God is the most marketed name for the supreme being. And so people are comfortable to say God. But as soon as you say, what's the name? Like I can say president. So, but what's the name of the president? President is the title, God, the supreme controller. So there are many names describing the supreme person. But if we are not taught to understand that the names may differ, but if we're describing the same substance, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. But that will be weaponized again. Different languages have different names for God, and therefore, no, that's your God. You ever heard that? The God of these ones and the God of the... By definition, God is one. There can only be one source of everything. But why do you think? Because I am the most important person, and the name of God that I accept must be accepted by everyone else. So if you don't accept it, then you are my enemy. If we think from God's perspective, He's looking at His children. Why are they tripping? I'm giving same oxygen to them, the same type of blood is flowing in their bones, same digestion system. They all get old and get sick. They all crave love and affection. Why all of a sudden there's this deviation from where all these things have come? Just because we have different languages. So the bodily concept of life is a source of ignorance, and we have to raise our consciousness to the spiritual perspective, and there is greater unity and cohesion. I think we need to sing a song now, and just to lively up the spirit. Some of these topics can be very heavy to the mind. Oh, yeah, ne? Yeah, I hear him, but man, no, life is different. I can't just. But would you say it makes some sense to some degree? Yeah, it may not be where we are at, but we can aspire to grow as spiritual beings. That would be very good for us and the people around us. So thank you for your attention, your presence. Still another question. Okay, until you tell me, I'm trying to like stop. Yes? Yes, please. Yeah, you think you are, but you're not. Put on your mouth like this. Press. Give him this one. This one is on. Ah, thank you.
So,
yeah.
So I'm asking, we are souls, we are spiritual souls. So I'm asking all of us, Christians, Muslims, all of us, just the different religions that we all belong to one supreme being. Is it right?
Do we have one spirit, is what you're saying?
No.
We belong to one spirit being.
Yes,
We
yes,
all
yes.
align to one supreme being.
Yes.
So, Rwanda, there are people who do magic. It's like they do things that we can't explain how they do.
Give an example.
Chawi.
Witchcraft.
Witchcraft.
Witchcraft is witchcraft. Okay, yeah?
Witchcraft.
It's a craft, yeah, but you just may not know which craft it is.
Or whatever. Do they control those things spiritually? Or how do they control those things? And how do they get the power to control that?
Very good question. So like a child, they see the car is moving and they think the father is amazing. You know, how is he getting this whole thing to move? Or your car breaks down, you open the bonnet and you are looking. But the mechanic, when they look there, immediately they can tell how the engine has failed, what is the problem. Because they have the eyes of knowledge of how engines work. So different sciences, like this science of witchcraft, yes, there's schools there where you get trained and initiated to be able to manipulate things on the subtle level. So it's not being taught at schools, and its religion has just called it only bad. But everything can be judged in terms of its use. Just like a knife, intrinsically a knife is not good or bad. Because same knife in that kitchen, we can cut vegetables and cook nice food. Same knife, I can put it to your throat and rob you or kill you. So the utility behind it is what determines if it's good or not in terms of the result. So witchcraft is just one of those arts that are called subtle arts. Unfortunately, everything black is considered bad, so it's called black market, blackballed, black. But if you look at it, even the whole medicine fraternity, it's the same herbs that the herbalist can mix at home and give you, but the pharmaceutical just makes it in mass and puts it in a nice box, calls it this and sells it. And that we have more faith in the pharmacy than maybe going to talk to grandma in the village to help. So to your question, all are the same quality of soul, all coming from God, but not everyone has the same desires. Some other people, they just like to see others suffer. I always thought like that, some of the witchcraft, why don't you just make it such that your life is just amazing? But some people get a kick to see him go down and suffer, like, yeah, He thought that he was going to succeed. Yeah. Look at him now. Not just him, his whole family. Yeah. Even friends, so-called friends. When a friend comes in and is depressed and, oh friend, what's wrong? Inside they're thinking, yeah, man. You thought life is just... So, although we're all children of God, we are not all operating in the same way or the same desires. So some people use God's energy to uplift. Others, they just want to keep more and more for themselves. Others, they want to see, let's all rather be poor. So, same child of God, just he's not doing the right thing with that craft.
It's knowledge that
It's a knowledge, yes, that you could also learn. Yeah, you can also be trained in it, just like any science.
There's a tendency to think that it's a spiritual thing.
Oh yes, yeah, that also that dimension. The word spirit, it's always used for those things. So there's gross physical, then there's what's called subtle. Subtle matter means mind is a material thing, but it's very fine. It's like you can't show me your mind. But because you are behaving like a thoughtful person, we understand that you have a mind. So it's subtle, fine. So this level of like witchcraft, these are operating on the subtle platform. It's not necessarily spiritual. Spiritual is at the level of the soul. It's anti-material. But it's called spiritual because it's just not normal material activity, like some lightning just hitting. It's just like, this is not part of... yeah.
One last question.
Yes.
My name is Nana. So, personally, you found your purposes and you are content with it. So, what advice or you tell someone who is perhaps wants to know their purpose or dharma? Someone is seeking it, and once that person has achieved it, what are the telltale signs that told you, hey, this is the best place for me, I have no regrets? And then, how does that person live that purpose-driven life? Now, this is something independent of career, of their religion, of their designation in life. This is their purpose. So, if you can answer this.
Very serious questions, pertinent. Thank you. So, purpose, this is a very also popular concern. I want to know my purpose. So first, I has to be understood. Who am I? Before I can think of my purpose, I have to know who am I or what am I? The purpose of this microphone. For children, they can think it's some play swords, they can, but an adult knows, put it on and then you speak into it and it amplifies the sound. So to find purpose can be multi-layered, as you mentioned. It could be, what's my occupation? Like, where will I put my energy and find fulfillment? We'll start at the level of occupational duty. Some people are excited to solve problems that have to do with money and numbers. You like that field of business. Some people are happy to work with their hands and create things. Some are happy to use their minds to intellectualize and philosophize or discuss plans. So one requires an ability to understand what inspires them. Unfortunately, these days, the systems are such that to get to your occupation, you have to go through university or college, which necessitates a lot of intellectual use. And so people, although can force themselves and graduate a course, they find themselves in fields where they're just not eager to wake up in the morning to go do those things. They're doing them because they just want money. Yes, pesa. Huh? What's the local slang for that? For money? Ganji. Almost sounds like ganja. Okay. Okay, ganji. So, therefore, although you have your job and you're earning your money, you are unfulfilled because it's not to your psychophysical nature. You're not inspired by that subject or that field. You don't find that there's a greater service that you're providing. Because we find purpose and fulfillment when what we do, others appreciate and we see that it adds value to others. When it's just me getting a paycheck for me and mine, it's a selfish conception. Therefore, you are not as fulfilled. The world, though, is hardly waiting for you to find your purpose, It's just people apply to university and wherever they accept me, I'll go. So that's a level of the mind and the body. Then, of course, who am I if we don't understand spiritually? Then no matter what we do, there'll always be a gaping sense of dissatisfaction because there's a part of you that is not connected. It's almost like you're just dragging this machine and doing things, but they don't really mean much to you. So it's said in everyone's heart there's a hole, a God-shaped hole. You must have heard this. Because we are part and parcel of God, like say this hand, if you cut it and you find it on the floor there, someone said there's a hand here. So it looks like a hand. It is a human hand, but it doesn't function like a hand because it only functions as a hand when it's connected to my arm and a living being who orders it to move. So we look whole and complete people, but once we have been disconnected from the Supreme Person, our friend and lover and master and Lord, we are seeming like living beings, but we are not functioning in our purpose because we are disconnected from the source. So most of the issue of purpose has to do with this disconnection. Once that's done, whatever we are doing in our psychophysical nature is not always enough. It may inspire, but still there'll be a lack. So we advise, first understand the self, and then try to do things which highlight this highest purpose of everyone, to love and serve God. Then you can use any occupation in life to show the glory of God, and you will feel more fulfilled. Otherwise, so many career fields are there, they're not easy to get into. Some people would like to just be, who here would think being a housewife would just be something nice? I just have my home, I raise my kids, and some man is paying the bill. You want to go and work 12 hours. Or you want someone to take care of you. What do you think? So in one sense, to the nature, now I'm speaking, say, to the nature of the feminine. The feminine takes shelter of the masculine. But to make money, they discovered that half the population is sitting at home. We need to tax all these people. So we have to tell them that they need to go work. So that they're not equal now because they are sitting at home and just going shopping and feeding their own kids, and it's not enough for them. So to that nature now, it has to operate in the masculine, fighting, pushing and shoving with men. And even though they make the money, still it just feels not satisfying. So that could also speak to the purpose of that feminine nature is being misplaced. So there are many pockets to the topic of purpose. So when we study what a human being is and what the nature of a human being is from these old wisdoms, then we can really align all aspects of our being to our true nature, not this imagined capitalistic, so-called modern way of thinking, which gives everyone's dissatisfied. Everyone's dissatisfied. To the richest people.
I understand purpose is a daily job. Now, on the last one I asked, now, living that purpose-driven life, it's not easy giving up university and just following, going to the monastery and whatnot. Now, someone is following that purpose. What would you advise this individual as an anchor for them to always hold on to? Because then again, we exist where we can be surrendered, we can be brought back to a state of ignorance constantly by so many factors, things, basically by just where we are, where we live, the careers we do, etc. Thus, what can someone use as an anchor or as a fallback or as a force for them to stand and go on with their lives?
Yes. We all need guru. We need a teacher. And so you get those who are focusing on the spiritual purposes of life. So they can be stronger, like you're saying, the monks, the focus on that in the monastery. They don't have to deal with all the challenges of everyday life. So if I'm out there and have to do what I have to do to stay alive, then I have to be connected to those people who can help me see my life and help me to keep it on track for the spiritual purpose. So such forums are for that we can come here and we can tap into the spiritual wisdom so that when we go out there and we're mingling with the world as it is, in the back of our minds, we know that what profited the man to gain the whole world and lose his immortal soul. We know that why work hard for the bread that spoils? We should rather get the bread that leads to immortal life. So that is needed, discipleship.